He went all hysterical, crying uncontrollably, throwing up all over. He looked devastated. Oh, but wait. All this is just a stage drama. From the culprit.
Oh my God.
Miami County 911.
Oh my, somebody broke into my home. Somebody broke into my home and shot my wife.
Are they still in there?
I don't know.
Okay, what's the address?
Please hurry, please hurry.
Okay. What are you seeing?
My wife she got 2 shots to her head. There's blood everywhere. Oh my God. Sir, please.
In quiet towns, tragedy feels almost impossible. Places where neighbors know each other's names. Where children ride their bikes down familiar streets. Where Sunday mornings are filled with church bells and community gatherings. That was the reputation of Tipp City. But in the early hours of February 16, 2026, something happened inside a home on Cunningham Court that would shatter that sense of peace forever. A 911 call reported a break-in. A husband said someone had entered the house, and inside, a wife and mother lay critically injured. Her name was Ashley Flynn. Within days, the story would take a turn no one expected. The man who called for help would soon be charged with her death. Ashley Flynn was 37 years old. In Tipp City, she wasn't just a name on a news headline. She was someone people recognized at the local school gym, at church events, and on the sidelines of volleyball games. Ashley worked with students in the Tippecanoe School District, where she coached volleyball and occasionally served as a substitute teacher. Those who knew her often described her as energetic and encouraging, the kind of coach who believed in her players long before they believed in themselves. But above all else, Ashley was a mother. She had 2 daughters who were the center of her life. Friends said that everything she did, from work to volunteering, revolved around making sure her children felt supported, safe, and loved. She was also active in her church community, attending services and participating in worship events. For years, her life appeared stable, grounded in faith, family, and community. And by many outward appearances, her marriage seemed the same. Her husband, Caleb Flynn, had once stood on a stage leading worship music in front of a congregation. Years earlier, he had even appeared briefly on the television show, American Idol, sharing his love of music and talking proudly about his wife. For people who knew the couple, they looked like a normal family building a life together. But what happened in February 2026 would cause many to question how much of that image reflected reality. It was the early morning hours of February 16, 2026. Most families in Tipp City were asleep. At around 2:30 a.m., emergency dispatchers received a 911 call from the Flynn residence. According to reports, Caleb Flynn told operators that someone had broken into their home. He said his wife had been shot. Police and emergency responders rushed to the house on Cunningham Court. Inside the home, they found Ashley Flynn suffering from gunshot wounds. Despite the response from first responders, she was pronounced dead at the scene. At the time, investigators believed they might be dealing with a home invasion. It was a frightening possibility, the idea that a violent intruder had entered a family's home while everyone slept. What made the situation even more alarming was that the couple's 2 daughters were reportedly inside the house at the time. Thankfully, the children were physically unharmed. But the tragedy unfolding around them would change their lives forever. When detectives arrived, they began doing what investigators always do after a violent death. They studied the scene carefully. They looked at the layout of the house. They examined physical evidence. They tried to reconstruct exactly what had happened. At first, the story seemed straightforward. A husband had called police reporting a burglary. But as investigators continued examining the home, certain details raised questions. Detectives began to wonder whether the scene truly reflected what had happened or whether something had been altered. Law enforcement officials from multiple agencies joined the investigation, including state authorities from the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation. They collected evidence from inside the home and began interviewing neighbors and witnesses. Surveillance cameras in nearby areas were reviewed. Investigators worked to build a timeline of events from the hours before the 911 call. And slowly, the narrative began to change. Just 3 days after Ashley Flynn's death, police made a major announcement. On February 19, 2026, authorities arrested Caleb Flynn. The charges were serious. Prosecutors accused him of murder, along with additional counts related to assault and tampering with evidence. Investigators alleged that the scene had been staged to appear like a burglary. According to law enforcement, evidence gathered during the investigation did not support the initial claim of an intruder entering the home. The arrest stunned many people in Tipp City. For neighbors who had watched the investigation unfold, the possibility that the suspect might be someone inside the home had seemed almost unthinkable. But now the case had moved in that direction. Following his arrest, Caleb Flynn appeared in court. He entered a plea of not guilty to the charges against him. The judge set his bond at $2 million, reflecting the severity of the allegations. As the case moved forward, legal arguments began to emerge from both sides. Prosecutors maintained that evidence supported their claim that Ashley Flynn's death was not the result of a home invasion. Defense attorneys argued that their client maintained his innocence and deserved a fair trial under the law. Like many homicide cases, the legal process was expected to take time. Evidence would be reviewed, witnesses would testify, and ultimately, a jury would decide whether the prosecution had proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. What was the motive of Caleb Flynn for the crime? Why did he murder his beautiful wife? Was there an affair? Was there an insurance hidden agenda? Were the couples having financial problems? Why would he go all hysterical, throwing up all over, crying uncontrollably, knowing well that all was just staged? This is what baffled neighbors in the community. While the legal system moved forward, the emotional impact of Ashley Flynn's death spread throughout the community. Students who had known her as a coach gathered to remember her. Church members spoke about her kindness and the way she supported others. Parents who had watched their children grow under her guidance struggled to understand how something so tragic could happen so close to home. Fundraisers and support efforts began to help provide for Ashley's daughters. For them, the loss was not a headline or a court case. It was the absence of a mother. Cases like this force communities to confront difficult truths. Sometimes the people we think we know best carry struggles that remain unseen. Sometimes the places that feel safest can become the setting for unimaginable loss. And sometimes the answers to the question, what happened, take months, or even years, to fully emerge in court. For the people of Tipp City, the story of Ashley Flynn is not just about crime. It's about a life that mattered. A mother, a coach, a woman whose presence once filled classrooms, gyms, and church gatherings with energy and encouragement. Her story now stands as a reminder that behind every true crime headline is a real person and a family forever changed.